All right, go for it.
Good morning, Oh my God, I almost choked. Good morning, everyone. It's me, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live on another edition with my main man, El Cuco himself, the Hispanic heartthrob, CJ. And we are broadcasting live to you this morning, giving you the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out, roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at The Rogue Money. And Rogue Money on Facebook, Rogue Money on every single podcasting app known to humanity. And let's not forget all of our what am I forgetting? Oh yeah, the sponsors.
There
Remain
you go.
calm, remain calm, remain calm.net. Don't freak out, remain calm. Look, you need to get your credit score fixed. You need to have a better uh you want to be treated like a first class citizen when you go into a car dealership or you're shopping around for a new home. You want to get out of debt. You want to end those collection calls, stop any sort of bank levies or whatnot. Get to the guys over at remainCalm.net. They'll not only fix your credit, but they'll protect your account against any sort of squandering or harassing that these collectors and these banksters would do to you. And also, check out their lending program. They have a lending program with 335 lenders and growing. They can get you up to $600,000 unsecured from their lending program. This is for those of you who are, adventurous, business owners. You want to expand. You can't go through private bank, which ask you for an arm and a leg. And your firstborn child for like 20 grand. Well, you can get these guys for up to $600,000 unsecured from their massive lending network. Or you just need a smart banking option. These guys can help you as well. Protect your bank account wholly and entirely. I love the products that they do. We're fully back them up, and what these guys are doing is just amazing work. RemainCalm.net. With that out of the way, CJ, it's another tiring day, and it's cold in Nueva York, and I know
It
you're
is
kind of
cold.
cold and tired as well.
It's really starting to feel like, fall going into winter V. I cannot believe yesterday I mowed my yard again, and hopefully for the final time, just because I had, picked up the leaves and the grass had a lot of length to it. I'm like, it just doesn't look right. Uh, I needed a mental break from the news and everything else going on, so I mowed the yard, just clear my mind, listen to some music. And I'm like, I sure hope this is the last time that I mow, because it's getting too darn cold out there to keep it up, V. It's time to start popping that vitamin D supplement to get yourself some natural sunlight.
For real, man. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly, my man. So what's going on, Siege? What's the latest?
Well, I know that there's a lot of hope out there in terms of the indictments, the prosecutions, and I'm remaining optimistic. I said this yesterday, V. I know our listeners are probably getting tired of listening to the same thing as far as but I just and this is my perspective, and everyone's entitled to their own. You can have that. I think argument, I think discussion is great, but I just don't see it happening, folks. I just don't. I think it's business as usual in DC. No one's going to jail. There's not going to be any prosecutions. Yesterday, Jeff Sessions was on the Hill in testimony, and it was very eye opening, V. And again, this could be again just mind games. It could be to counter the 3D 4D chess that everyone is talking about. But yesterday he was just getting drilled down by Republican Jim Jordan out of Ohio. He was getting drilled down in regards to the entire Fusion GPS, to Director Comey, all this information coming out. And if you haven't heard his testimony yet, I think everyone really needs to go listen to it, because very irritable, very defensive, through this conversation. And Sessions refused to answer any questions, and it could be because, he's, is it the word recused himself of providing any type of because of the whole Russiagate and everything. But what's very interesting is that, they asked the letter that the members of Congress sent him in regards to a special counsel. They sent that over 3 months ago to his office requesting this. And here we are 3 months later, and he just issued a letter stating that he would consider it. And when he was really tasked on that and really, drilled down and just was, they wouldn't. He was asking for a specific. Republican Jim Jordan wasn't accepting, no for an answer, or I don't want to comment. And at the end of the conversation, it's like the last 30 seconds when specifically asked is that, well, are you going to a point? Is there enough information that's being provided, that's being investigated to warrant a special counsel? And he specifically said, based upon the information, everything that we received at this point, I don't see any need to appoint a special counsel to investigate everything. Now, that could mean that it's already being investigated. So, second, again, that whole 3D, 4D chess, in my opinion, nobody's going to jail. Nothing's going to happen. This is all smokescreen of the potential economic, situation that's around the corner. And for those that continue to talk about it, I hope you're right. I truly do, by all means. I just don't see it happening, V.
It's pretty funny. This is going on. There's absolute criminal involvement here, but supposedly, and I'm verifying this. I mean, the other day, Sean at SGT Report broke on one of his programs. There are right now, and I think it's been pretty official. I don't see the mainstream media reporting on it. We've talked about the 12 to 17 indictments that have been delivered, sealed. That number, as of it stands today, CJ, you might want to put your seatbelt on. That number, as it stands, as of today, as of right now, 842 indictments have been passed out that are sealed and delivered.
Wow.
842. 60 of those indictments are right here in New York. I think they have 140 some odd indictments in California. And there could be, then there's a mess of indictments in Illinois. Rumor has it these are areas of operations that are connected with the Clinton Foundation. They're Obama, both Bill and Hillary. Issues with Uranium One, the Bushes, as well as even a Rothschild name or two was popped up in there. I'm waiting for more confirmation, but as it stands, and it seems pretty damn credible at this point, as it stands, 842 sealed indictments have been delivered. So something's going on. I don't know exactly what. Jeff Sessions says he doesn't see a need to assign a special counsel. That means they could be two things. Either A, an investigation's not going on, or B, they have Clinton dead to rights. And if that is the case, we have we're about to witness something massive. That's
right. And even with an indictment, you're still talking about a whole prosecution, and I think that's where it gets so complicated in terms of the court. So with that level of corruption, think about this, V. We witnessed Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes with the Lita Express and the investigation with his island and the amount of people that were involved with that, right? The Clintons at that point, we already had one type of prosecution already with Jeffrey Epstein and the criminality of that. And the courts did nothing. The courts slapped his hand and said, go about your business. And that's the level of it. So if we're going to go ahead and assume that the courts are in collusion with this, are we prepared as a nation to declare martial law, to the military takeover of the government in an interim period? Why the military tribunals of this occurring? That's the level that this would be at if we're talking that amount of investigation, and it crosses party lines. Obviously, there's no left or right with this. They're all in cahoots. The churches, the government organization, Child Protective Services. So the criminality runs deep. I just don't see a case example in the past. If take a look at the former Speaker of the House, and and paying off his witness, and I can't remember the extent of him. I think he got a fine and something else, but I hope, and I hope that this is true. But at the same time, I think that those are remaining optimistic. Those are um, looking at this from a perspective. Look, I'm a realist. I'm a realist, and I try to have a tendency to look for more information that's going to validate some of these findings. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things that we have been uh, our mind, we've been manipulated so many times regarding everything that's transpiring. And I'll stick to my guns to say that I'll believe it when I see it, because this information would, in terms of the indictments and everything, I think what's going to happen, there are going to be a few more indictments. I definitely think that we will see Tony Podesta indicted. I think, again, we covered a couple weeks ago that potentially he's already arrested. I think Michael Flynn, I think we're going to see an indictment on Michael Flynn, potentially an indictment on his son. Um, you know, so don't flip out. Don't flip out. If it turns out these indictments come forth and they just indict more people that potentially could be on the side of the good guys. But I hope you're right, V. I really do.
Yeah, it's I mean, from what I'm hearing, 842 indictments in 24 districts. The funny thing is, no one's seen or heard from Hillary or Hillary Clinton, as well as um, John McInsane. And I'm trying to dig through here really quick. You have I'm trying to get a yeah. It's starting to look like it, man. Hold on one second. I'm trying to pull this up. Okay, great. All right. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, here we go. Okay. 842 sealed indictments in 24 districts. 94. There are 94 district courts in the U.S., and this is what's confirmed from the searching of the 94 district courts to date. There could be more indictments coming. Washington, D.C., there's 35 indictments. Florida, there's 8. Chicago, there's 4. Eastern Kentucky, there's 5. Western Kentucky, there's 23. Massachusetts, 51. Maryland, 48. Missouri, Eastern St. Louis, Missouri, that's 7. There's 19 in Nevada. New York Southern District Court was delivered 60 indictments to the New York Southern District Court. 4 in Oregon, 58 in Eastern Pennsylvania, which is a hotbed of child trafficking. 2 in Knoxville, Tennessee. 11 in Nashville, Tennessee. 28 in Memphis, Tennessee. 44 in Dallas, Texas. 10 indictments in Houston. 48 indictments in Alexandria, and there could be 1 or 2 in Seattle. That is the total, bro.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so.
That's the total. So let's see how this transpires. Again, take this with a grain of salt, but something is bloody well happening. And the funny thing is, Little Rock, Arkansas has 7 indictments. Arizona, John McCain State, 47 indictments. California, Los Angeles itself, another hotbed of child trafficking, 172 indictments. Sacramento, the government capital in California, 52 indictments. San Francisco, 99 indictments. These are all been sealed and delivered to the respective 94 circuit courts have been delivered. There's more coming. So, I don't know, bro. That's some heavy news.
Yeah, that's a lot of indictments, and let's hope that the actual convictions can happen.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, the next thing, man. I guess what do you want to pick apart, Siege? The I mean the U.S. American
Let's talk.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The entire information regards the myth of our military. V. Let's pick that apart.
Yeah, absolutely. This is from our main guy, the Saker, which we got to get him on. Got to get James to get this guy on. The Saker wrote this great. I mean, he's written, a great book called The Essential Saker and a lot of great articles. One of the things that the Saker talks about is the myth. We think we make this, we believe the marketing hype. And when you start believing the marketing hype that, hey man, we're the greatest military in the world, nothing can stop us, we have absolute supremacy and superiority and blah 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 blah, then you as the willing taxpayer, you as the willing um, citizen allows your government to put your most talented men and women in harm's way time after time after time after time again. The marketing is so strong, CJ, that Veterans Day, which was originally called Armistice Day, where people were to reflect on the horrors and the tragedy of war so that we do not put our young men and women back in the crosshairs of war and conflict. That was Armistice Day, Siege. The marketing, the military industrial complex turned Armistice Day to Veterans Day, where we thank our men and women for fighting for our freedoms. Do you see how the switch has happened? If you care about men and women in uniform, you would keep them out of harm's way. If you care about men and women in uniform, you won't send them off to war to fight corporate interests, to fight for corporate interests and not for the real safety and security of the United States. You cannot talk to me about safety and security of the United States when we have over 900 military bases sprawled across 150 some odd countries. You can't talk to me about, you know, safety and security of the United States when you have a schizophrenic, bipolar foreign policy that makes no sense. And so when you have a military might and you have a population that's brainwashed into thinking that this military might is unstoppable, like the whole thing with carriers. Aircraft carriers have been obsolete for many decades right now. In fact, one of the things that the Saker says, he goes, my United States Navy friends are acutely aware, and Saker is somebody who's served in the military, served in military intelligence. I think his background is. He says, my Navy friends were acutely aware, and they were laughing at their own official U.S. propaganda, which claimed that the U.S. Navy would bring war to the Russians by forward deployment of carriers. And this is during the Reagan era. In direct contrast, all my friends told me that the first thing the U.S. Navy would do is immediately flush all the carriers away from the North Atlantic and into the much safer waters south of the so-called, GUICK gap, the Jewick gap, which is basically the GIUK gap, is an area in the northern Atlantic Ocean that forms a naval choke point. Its name is an acronym, folks, for the Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom gap. It's basically the North Sea. Okay, that little area in the North Sea. And the GIUK gap is, it's between England and Iceland and then Greenland. That little strip right there. That's where they'll move all the carriers. Okay, because it creates a convenient choke point. All right. So here's the ugly truth. Carriers are designed to enforce the rule of the empire on small and basically defenseless nations. Nobody in the United States Navy, at least not in the 1980s, seriously considered forward deploying aircraft carrier battle groups near the Kola Peninsula, that's right where Russia is, to bring the war to the Russians. That was pure propaganda. The public did not know that, but the United States naval personnel knew the truth. That's just one example. Okay? The other example is, I keep telling you folks this, Russian military technology are at least 2 generations ahead of what we have. They're far better, and they're produced at much cheaper cost, so they're more fieldable. Okay? And the other myth that we have is, and we've been in World War I, World War II, saved a lot of this, which is because we have, we were saved from mass destruction because we had 2 bodies of water, the Atlantic and the Pacific, that was a moat of protection, and it kind of saved our butts because after World War II, we were the only country, the only industrialized country in the world that still had infrastructure and industry still intact. Okay, so it's so that whole equation with the new generation ICBMs, that goes out the window as well. Right? I mean, the list goes on and on and on, man. So when we believe the lie and the BS, we're willing to think we can put our men and women in harm's way and nothing will happen. And nothing's further from the truth. And this is why we need to make sure that the military industrial complex is dismantled, that they do not get us into a war, another war in the Middle East between the neocon nut jobs here in DC, between the imperial ambitions of the city of London and the crazy fanaticism of the Zionists and the fundamentalist Islamics. These are all the same. They all play for the same team. People are like, well, V, it's this conspiracy. Look, folks, it's a difference between the Wahhabist death cult, okay, and which is we like to call fundamentalist Islam, and a good chunk of the Muslim population. There's a big difference. And the Wahhabist death cult is what kills, more regular, secular, everyday Muslims are killed by fundamentalist Islam than anything else. Fundamentalist Islam kills them more than anybody else. Okay, so the fundamentalist Islamists and its handlers, and the Zionists and their handlers, and the neocons and their handlers, and in the city of London imperialists and their handlers, they are all part of a convenient death cult. All of them belong to the same good old boys club. That's who we're fighting. Okay, and these guys who are not believers in any sort of God, who are atheists through and through, they will don the outfit of a Jew, they will don the outfit of a Muslim, they will don the outfit of a Christian, they will don the outfit of a Buddhist, they'll don the outfit of a nice politician who smiles at you. They'll not don the outfit of a nice corporatist or somebody who's a captain of industry or what have you, in order to manipulate you. Okay? We are fighting a power that is far older than any one of these world religions. That's something you folks need to understand. It's an ancient evil that we are fighting that's always been with us, and it's again pushing humanity up against the wall in this new chapter of a battle for freedom and civilization, CJ. And these are some of the mythos that we need to break apart.
Yeah, very, very well said. And the dilemma is this, V, if we spent, I mean, we spend upwards of what, like 600 billion, on our military. Vets were, coming home to quality housing, quality opportunity,
Yep.
education, healthcare. Yeah, I'm all for it, right? But when you take a look at where the majority of these funds usually get spent is to the defense contractors. And when you think of the results of what it's yielded the last 25 years, what do we have to show for it as a country? Is our GDP the best in the world? No, we fall behind anyone else. And when you take a look and you consider that the amount that we spend on defense, and I believe that, yeah, let me bring this up. So a 2017 statistics, and this was of July, that if we spend 611 billion, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, India, France, United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, we spend more than all of those countries combined, fee,
Yeah, it's terrible.
on our military.
Mhm.
It is, and it just and you know what the amazing thing is that anytime that there's a bill that gets passed, like they just recently passed a 700 billion defense policy funding, and in this bill, I'm very happy that the 2018 NDAA, authorized this beyond what the original budget was for spending. But I'm also glad that the NDAA has included language in this that there's going to be raising troop levels by more than 16,000. And also, V, get this, in the language written in the NDAA, specifically states that climate change is a national security threat, V.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
going to sleep
again,
better now.
yeah, exactly correct, and that's the whole point. They'll say, "Oh, climate change is a national security threat." Why? Because you're always creating boogeymen. Osama bin Laden wasn't good enough. So now you got to create climate change. That means clamping down on your ability to live life. That's all it means, folks. That's all it means. Clamping down on your ability to live life. That's what it's all about. You know, where you can build a home, where you could live, how many times a day do you fart? I mean, they want to control all that. It's crazy. It sounds nuts. But that's what it is, man. It's unreal.
Right,
Anyway, man,
right.
moving forward.
Yeah, some really cool things that are being created, real to help millennials, pay off their debt. They're getting real creative, right? Some very disruptive things, and so we're learning about new websites titled "Seeking Sugar Daddies and Sugar Mommies" to help pay off debt for the
Yes,
millennials.
yes, the daycare generation of millennials has now birthed and bequeathed a new generation of millennial sugar babies. These millennial sugar babies are looking because they're strapped with hundreds of thousands of dollars in college debt because they thought it was a wonderful idea to get a master's degree in gender studies or gay art therapy, and now they realize that it's good for nothing for them. And so now these millennial sugar babies are looking for sugar daddies and sugar mamas and have arrangements so that the sugar daddies and sugar mamas can pay off some of their debt and fund their Audi payment. Okay? Ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous. This just shows you the wanton stupidity of not only people, but the abject failure of the corrupt systems that we offer to people as some sort of a solution, which is basically these ridiculous college degrees that cost millions of dollars. It's unreal, man. Unreal.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's interesting that you put this in the deck for today because I was, reading a story where there was actually a girl that was also selling off her virginity,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and she was selling off her virginity. So we go from the times back. I remember that used to hear the stories of, oh yeah, this girl was a exotic dancer at this club to pay her for college debt and do this. So leap forward now, it's just a matter of we just post it online and we go out there soliciting via websites.
Yep, absolutely, my man. Absolutely correct. It's hilarious, CJ, to say the least. Absolutely hilarious. And the funniest thing is that it's none of these people get it. It's always a dependency. There's nothing. They're not doing anything to really develop marketable skills or anything like that. A lot of them are just going to go from one dependency to another. It's stupid, bro. It really is stupid. Anyway, what can you do? What can you do? You know? Moving on. Weird signs in the market, Siege. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, you start to think, what's it going to happen? What's going to happen in terms of the market, in terms of a potential, downward spiral? I think in the event, I think you kind of nailed it in terms of in the event that something is propped up, we do see that we're coming close to the end of the year. Potentially, there could be a downshift just to take us to the next high VT, take us to the next, greatest growth potentially that we could see in the stock market, and that could be specifically also driven around what potentially could happen with the budget proposal that eventually could make these companies even skyrocket. What was that saying that you say Dow 29K? Here we come.
Yep, absolutely correct, man. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's another sell-off, getting ready for another bull run. And look what Dex said yesterday. We had Dex on, and he was sharing with us. All's quiet in the market, man. Ain't nothing major going to happen. I don't see anything. I don't foresee anything major. So it is what it is, man. We ride it out. It is what it is. Blockchain for the One Belt, One Road initiative, CJ. This is huge news as China wants to put the entire New Silk Road on the blockchain. And folks, every single participating country is elated because they get to see the honesty and open transparency of what China wants to do versus the U.S. where they want to manage. Did you hear what America wants to do? They want, they, they're so stupid. They want the Europeans to buy American natural gas, but there simply isn't enough American natural gas, and it's unreliable, and it costs too much in transportation. So you know what the Americans are doing?
What's that?
The idiots in government decided it's a great idea to buy natural gas from Russia and resell it to the Europeans at a higher price.
Nice. Yeah, that's
Dude,
gonna work.
you can't make this. I mean, this is the creative minds that are at work in Washington, man. The sons of bitches, I swear to you. But here you have China developing the blockchain technology, which will allow all of the entire, New Silk Road to work. I mean, think about this, dude. The biggest problem you would have with a large economic zone like the One Belt, One Road, okay? That large economic zone, that problem that you could have had has been solved, okay? It's been solved. Everything's going to be on a blockchain ledger, which makes it open and honest and transparent for everyone that's participating, every single one of those countries. Problem solved. So, talk about perfect timing. You couldn't build the New Silk Road like, 17 years ago because the technology, the blockchain technology didn't exist then. But you could do it now. What a game changer, bro. What a game changer.
Yeah, and if anyone, example I like to give V when someone asks regarding the blockchain and some of the solutions, and I think what you just said is the honesty, the transparency is just so important. Kind of a microcosm of that is like kind of like Steam It, right? So a Steam It user generates, Steam potential money for that. And with every Steam user, so envision that's a community of businesses that are involved in that, tons of companies, right? Within that community of Steam, that you can go in there to any user and you can click on their wallet V and see every bit of trade that they do, whether it's somebody providing them Steam or initiated Steam sell that they did. It's 100% transparent and it's on the ledger. And you with the blockchain, you cannot can there there's once it's there, and that's very exciting to see them considering that, using that for that one belt one road project, because how many countries in the past where these trade deals, these negotiations that occurred, and is there potential for wrongdoing? Absolutely. It's not going to be a perfect world, but the amount of openness that you can take a look and see what is happening on the blockchain is far better than any existing technology system that we have today.
Yep. Absolutely correct, my man. Saudi war crimes in Yemen. It does not cease to amaze me, my man. It does not cease to amaze me at all.
Yeah, so it's been upped a little bit, and I'm not sure where the, why that there isn't a lot more outcry regards to the events unfolding. But we learned right after the shakeup in the Saudi kingdom that they closed off the borders of Yemen, and now we're learning that there has been Saudi warplanes specifically targeting their airport, destroying the airports, blocking out any type of humanitarian aid flying into the country to help the people that are in the people there that are in such need right now. So events unfolding there with the Saudi and Yemen, it's not being de-escalated. It's ramping up even more. V.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And on top of that, CJ, you're talking about entire huge problem of of the aid that is not being able to be delivered to Yemen, excuse me, because of the simple fact that Saudis are bombing these airports, preventing these aid deliveries from occurring. That's a huge problem, man.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting again. Like I said, I know W sent out an email yesterday regarding the fact that it almost feel like exactly we're kind of in that calm to see what's exactly going to happen next. So we'll just continue to monitor, just continue to document, and at this point, V, that's really all we can do. think I just lost your audio, V, or is that me that crashed? Oh, I see. I think that did you push the mute button? I think we lost V's audio for the stream. I don't think it's just me. So I think that closes it out for our audience. So thank you for listening in to Rogue Mornings. This is V and CJ. Just a quick schedule update in regards to today's show. We Bix Weir did have a death in the family, so our condolences to him and his family. So we will not be doing a hump day this week. However, we will be delivering Cuss with Gus today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is V and CJ delivering another Rogue Morning. Stay tuned. Visit us at roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter, also on Steemit. Make sure you follow our blog on Steemit as well. And we are over. Out.